Hello, now it's time for part 2 at this book that's called Samantha Cardigan and Genie's Revenge. That's called this book. And I'm now at war with the wind because I read all the way to at war with the wind first time. Now I'm gonna read to the end. Now I'm gonna read At War with the Wind. The Sheikh fell silent, holding up one hand. He looked out over the dunes. Samantha Cardigan felt it as well, a puff of hot wind, as if someone had opened a huge oven door. Along the horizon, a vast red cloud was rolling towards them. Now he is coming, the Sheikh announced solemnly. He rides on the wind. He rides on the wind to the caves. What's that? The next thing she knew, people were shooting and running every which way. The woman bent down and the tents and guarded up their goats and their children. Zara's mother could not risk eating her daughter, so she sat on the ground clinging to the rope. Meanwhile, the men ran to fetch their swords and, if preparing for a great battle, wrapping themselves in a bright orange and yellow robes, they mounted their camels and horses and stood in long, now facing the wall of sand. Budge up! Running along behind the Sheikh, Samantha Cardigan cried, "What are all the swords, for you can't fight the wind? It is our tradition. One must never show the Genie any weakness or fear. It is our desert too. We must be prepared to fight for it. Our honor is at stake. Be careful." Which that he leapt on a beautiful white horse and rode out to join the others. Together they changed into the storm, waving and slashing their curved swords. The Genie's face appeared in the cloud, laughing and cursing and rolling it in circles with a puff of his breath. He sent riders and horses tumbling. "I'm going to fight too," Samantha Cardigan cried. "I'm not afraid of that bully." Leaving her backpack by the tent, she grabbed a couple of sticks and passed one to Rabbit. Rabbit was not especially fond of fighting evil Genies, and she had to drag him by one arm. "Come on, Rabbit, you old windbag," she shouted. "We will never let you take Sarah." Hearing this, the Genie became angrier than ever, and he whirled around the two like a circle. Faster and faster he blew, lifting them up off the ground. He carried them up and over the trees until they were directly above the pond. "Help, Rabbit!" And then all of a suddenly he laughed and flew away, letting them all splash into the water. "But I can't swim." Rabbits are not aptly strong swimmers, but luckily it wasn't very deep, and they were able to wade up out. We need a better plan, Samantha Cardigan said, shaking the water from her shoes. Come on. The worst thing amazed. Back at the oasis, poor Zara blinked back and forth on her rope. The Genie hovered above her, filling the sky. Now I have come for what it is mine. He rotated, grabbing Zara by the arm. A tug of love began with Zara's mother on the ground, clinging to the left of a rope. To Sheikh rushed over to help her, but the Genie was too strong. Give her back the rope. She is all mine. The rope began to slip through their hands. Samantha Cardigan and Rabbit dashed back to where they had left her backpack. Reaching inside, she pulled out a roll of wallpaper, some paint, and a pot of glue. Here, take the end of this, she ordered. Rabbit did his best to hold it flat while she wrote something in a huge black letters. Then she slapped clear glue over the top of it. This will really annoy him. Walking into a clearing, she shook as loud as she could. Genie as a sissy pants. Say what? The Genie had not forgotten the scorpion's sting. Now she heard she was calling him names as well. He glared at her, holding Zara's by one arm. His mustache began to twitch. He went purple with rage. Genie sucks a dummy and wears a nappy. The Samantha Cardigan and Rabbit and forged their secret weapon. And one of the pieces of wallpaper had she written the absolutely worst thing she could think of. Genie is a big gouged bones. This he could not tell Brian. He let go of Zara. The wind dropped to a whisper, bellowing like a bull with a square head. He zoomed down, aiming directly for Samantha Cardigan. He reached out with his massive hands, ready to grab her by the neck. Tee-hee! But at the last second, she and Rabbit jumped sideways. The Genie slammed into the sticky paper, and he stuck there. The great Genie of Sands had become a giant sheet of sandpaper. Got him! Let you is good for you. A great victory cry was heard for miles around, and everyone congratulated Samantha Cardigan and Rabbit on their clever plan. Trapped on the sticky paper, the Genie could not no more harm to anyone, but his final blast had brought so much sand with it that the tents were most buried. Sarah was up to her armpits in sand. Everyone started digging, trying to record their homes from distance. And the winter will be hot and sunny with oceans, sunny spills. Bleat. Samantha Cardigan and Rabbit helped the Sheikh and his wife to free their daughter, and were greatly revived to know that everything would soon be back to normal. But when the sand was cleared away, Zara was still floating in the air, which the Genie defended. Everyone naturally soon the world come back down. The Sheikh would not believe his eyes. He looked up at his daughter completely and his wits and I don't believe it. Not again. The genie's revenge lives on even after he is gone. His wife cried, "What's to become of my daughter? She have to live in a cage like a kangaroo." The Sheikh tried to compare her. "Perhaps we would move to the city. He suggested she would get a job as window cleaner." Zara began to cry. She didn't want to live in a bird cage or be a window cleaner. She wanted to chase the goats and play with her friends as she had always done. My poor child. Samantha Cardigan felt utterly unstable. Her plan had failed. She wouldn't think of what to do or say. Rabbit tugged at her sleeve and whispered in her ear, "Oh, for heaven's sake," she cried. "Yes, you can't have a lecture now if you must." Reaching into her backpack, she thrust the lecture at him. "Not that lecture again." Oof. The rabbit went to retrieve the inflatable ladder to carry it over to where Zara was floating. He climbed up and started feeding her the lecture. Samantha Cardigan groaned and looked away. What a dumb rabbit thing to do, as if eating lecture was going to help anything. But amazingly, Zara began to calm down. By the time she had finished the whole lecture, she was back on the ground. She untied the rope and ran into her mother's arms. The Sheikh, exactly, but this is an orphanage. How did he do that? Zara, thanks goodness. Mommy, Samantha Cardigan was equally astounded. A rabbit went over and whispered to her. She laughed and gave him a big hug. "Did Zara eat a lot of chilies yesterday?" she asked. "You clever thing, it was nothing." "Why, yes, we had a very hot curry." "Why do you ask?" "Children make your heart inside heat rises because Zara is so little. If it lifted her up off the ground, eating that lecture cooled her oof. So she came back down. It never had anything to do with the Genie." The Sheikh was so happy. He did a special dance that desert people do, say that thank you to the world. Sarah's mother lit a fire to prepare dinner. Not too much chili. Samantha Cardigan and Zara called together. They laughed and ran off with a rabbit to find the goats. That was all for this book, and this book was good, easy to read, and fun. That's all for this. That's what I think of this book, and I'm gonna say bye bye.